the UK will continue to prioritise this issue.
Lords, the statement says we, quote, enjoy thriving relationships with countries in the Middle East and the Gulf. This statement came out just after the Times reported that in Saudi Arabia there had been 11 executions in 8 days, among them the execution of Hussein Abu al-Kia, the 57-year-old Jordanian father of 8, who a UN working group on arbitrary detention had called for his release and said his case lacked a legal basis. And it's reported that a UK minister had met with the Saudi government the day before the execution to call for the execution not to take place. I also note that in Bahrain, yesterday also was reported that 4 people have been arrested over tweets, including tweets backing reform to its parliamentary system, this in the context of an interparliamentary union meeting that's going to be occurring in Bahrain, which has also revoked the entry visas for 2 Human Rights Watch staff. Does the Noble Lord the Minister really think that that would describe a thriving relationship that meets with the government's stated intentions of supporting human rights around the world? And secondly, a question that perhaps is more to the Noble Lord the Minister's taste. I'm sure has noticed that the word climate does not appear anywhere in this entire statement. Would the Noble Lord the Minister agree with me that if we're looking at the refresh of the integrated review, the extreme events of the climate emergency of the last 2 years surely should have seen a focus on the even more pressing nature of that issue?
My Lord, first, the Noble Baroness is right. The Foreign Office Minister made representations before the execution took place. I think it would be wrong to exaggerate the power we have as a country. We can't command countries not to take decisions of the sort that they took in Saudi Arabia, but it is right that the Foreign Office ministers made representations and will always continue to do so. It's a long-standing policy. We oppose the death penalty. We also use every opportunity we can to promote those values that we hold dear: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, democracy, and I don't think anyone questions our commitment to those values, but equally, we work with countries all around the world that don't share all those values. And I think if we would only work with countries whose values aligned entirely with ours, we would be pretty isolated on the world stage. But it is right that we should have a constructive relationship. We're working very closely, for instance, with the UAE as they make preparations for COP28, and we will be a very strong partner to ensure that all the commitments secured at previous COPs are followed through and strengthened at COP28, which is being hosted by the UAE. Last one on climate change. No Baroness is right, but this is a refresh. This is an additional document, almost an appendix to the IR. It doesn't replace the IR. And although, of course, there are many ways in which the threat can be seen to have increased, or at least our understanding of the threat has increased over the last 2 years of our abusive relationship with the natural world, the emphasis that was placed in the IR on the need to prioritize global environmental protection and restoration and tackling climate change was pretty much front and center, and therefore, by definition, it remains front and center, and the refresh does nothing to diminish that commitment.